All right, folks, it's time for World Edition on December 3rd, 2025. Malaysia says the search for MH370 to resume this month, 11 years after packed plane vanished without a trace. So, deep sea search for Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 to resume on December 30th. So, that's something that's going on in the Asian part of the world. South Korea's Lee vows strict accountability for martial law perpetrators a year after Yoon's self coup attempt. So that is something going on also in the Asian theater. So 1 year on from martial law crisis, South Korea celebrates its democracy's resilience. And Top Journal rejects study predicting catastrophic climate toll. So that was reported in the New York Times and all along those lines. So author retract Nature paper projecting high cost of climate change. So climate study widely used by central banks retracted over errors. So looks like there's been some retraction about some of the things that might be going on in the climate. Putin warns Russia may hit Ukraine ally ships if attacks last. So Turkey's Erdogan says attack on Black Sea commercial ships is unacceptable. So Ukrainian hit two Russian Shadow Fleet oil tankers with naval drones. So definitely that is something going on in the world as well. And Badenoch and Starmer clash over budget at PNQs. So definitely that is something that is definitely being reported in the news and all along those lines. A Palestinian convicted in a bombing plot is now an award-winning novelist and free. So that's something that NPR was talking about in their news briefs. And Belgium criticizes EU proposal to use Russian frozen assets for Ukraine before its unveiling. EU pushes ahead with plan to use frozen Russian assets for Ukraine as Moscow is reacting to that. And Belgium is urging Europe to drop plans for frozen Russian assets to aid Ukraine. Deadly Asian floods are no fluke. They're a climate warning, is what scientists are saying. So, storm floodwaters in Indonesia turn logs into floating projectiles. And like a tsunami, Asia reels from deadly cyclones and monsoon rains. So, a lot of weather is impacting the folks in Asia. Families on rooftops, homes buried by mud. Asia floods show water is overtaking wind as a main climate I won't say indicator, but climate situation, particularly in the Asian area and all along those lines. India revokes order to preload cybersecurity app on smartphones after an outcry. So India orders a tracking app to be installed in all smartphones. And of course, there's been an outcry over that as well. So now they've revoked the order to preload smartphones with state-owned security app. So they're like, nope, that's not going to happen. And all along those lines. And Europe wants to get the word out. Russia is to blame for sabotage. Europe's anti-Russian sabotage plans miss the real problem, is what is being reported in the Moscow Times. So definitely EU warns of Russia's hybrid threats from drones to cyber attacks. So definitely that's some of the news coming from the world side. Let's see what's happening in the U.S. And I'll see if Nick's going to join me and if other folks are going to join me. I did send out the invitation and all along those lines. So we've got a lot of things going on in the world. Pardon undergoes a climatic win in drug prosecution led by a Trump ally. Murdoch paper shreds Trump's pardon for cocaine kingpin who flattered him. So definitely that's something that folks are talking about as well, is this notion of him being flattered by a cocaine kingpin. And definitely that's something that was in the news as well. So Trump formally pardons former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez. And definitely there's even some Access is reporting the letter behind Trump's pardon of Honduras ex-president for drug trafficking. So we'll see how this all plays out as well. And ahead of the tariff ruling, businesses race to secure refunds. So definitely, apparently Costco, and this is what reported in CNN yesterday, is suing the Trump administration. Costco's lawsuit confirms who pays for tariffs and all along those lines. So Costco has become the biggest company yet to demand a refund of Trump tariffs. So Costco is seeking a full refund for tariffs in new lawsuit against the Trump administration. So this ought to be interesting to see how this plays out, as Costco's is definitely a major store and all along those lines. And Senator Duckworth is demanding the Transportation Department give one $10,000 bonus to all air traffic controllers and FAA technicians. So Senator is requesting the $10,000 bonus be given to those folks and all along those lines. So this is definitely something that is interesting in the news as well. DOT and FAA announced $10,000 bonus for employees who kept U.S. Sky Strike during the time of the shutdown and all along those lines. So definitely that's something in the news. Trump says he doesn't want Somalis in the U.S. and urges them to go back to their homeland and fix it. So Trump calls Somali immigrants garbage as U.S. reportedly targets Minnesota community. So definitely Trump calls Somalis garbage he doesn't want in the country. And Rochester Somali community leaders responds to federal immigration crackdown expected in the Twin Cities. So Somali immigrants in Minnesota are Trump's next target. And this is a story that I've heard a couple of people talking about. I've definitely got to hear Nick's thoughts about this. But apparently a drunk raccoon was found passed out on a liquor store floor after breaking in. So the raccoon, and this was in Florida, went on a drunken rampage in a liquor store and passed out in the bathroom floor. So apparently this particular raccoon had images maybe of Animal House or some of the other things that we remember, some of those movies, or even some of the things that we've done in our own life and all along those lines. So definitely that's something going on in the news as well. School delays announced as snow and cold hit Colorado. So there's definitely some weather where Rick Rosner comes from and all along those lines. And Pentagon says every National Guard soldier deployed in Washington, D.C. is now armed. So accused National Guard shooter held without bond after pleading not guilty to murder. So definitely we'll see how that trial goes as well. And another SNAP disruption looms unless states give Trump their immigration data. So Agricultural Department is threatening to withhold SNAP funding from Democratic states. So definitely there's a lot of political gamemanship going on as well. And Haley and Wu balk at Trump's threat to cut SNAP benefits from Democratic states. So we'll see who decides to go with this or doesn't go with this as well. And Trump's Venezuela boat strikes fuel war crimes allegations. Folks are asking, are they legal? And all along those lines and all in that space. And the family of the Colombian man killed in the U.S. boat strikes files a formal complaint. Family of the Colombian fisherman killed in the U.S. boat strikes files complaint alleging he was murdered. And definitely this is now a formal complaint that is going on in that particular area. And James Solomon wins the Jersey City mayoral runoff election, beating Jim McCreevy. So definitely that's something that folks are talking about. And the University of Oklahoma instructor on leave after failing students' gender essay. So University of Oklahoma students claim religious discrimination over essay grade. And we'll see how this goes as well. So definitely that's something in the news also. And a family member has been charged in the death of a pregnant woman in Michigan. Mother charged with murder and torture in death of pregnant daughter in rural Michigan woods. And Holly pitches a new health care tax plan. So we'll see if this gets some support or not. And the Justice Department is expanding legal action against states that have refused its demand for voter data. DOJ sues 6 more states in sweeping push to obtain unredacted voter rolls. So definitely that's something that folks are talking about as well. But chances are dwindling for renewal of healthcare subsidies, risking premium spikes for millions. And that's definitely something that folks are interested in as well. And Democrats are seeking to limit who can be immigration judge, and the GOP wins a House election. So lots going on in terms of the news and even in the weather. So the major winter storm is pummeling the Northeast with ice and snow. Yesterday, we just had cold weather, even though I had an event. It might have impacted our attendance at that event because it was definitely rainy and cold, but it was definitely not the kind of attendance that we were hoping for our open house, but still a good open house. Melania Trump was once the one making controversial White House design choices. Now it's Donald Trump. So definitely we'll see how this goes on, because even there were some photos showing Melania Trump's White House Christmas decorations and all along those lines. And I knew it was him. Officer recalls confronting Mangione at McDonald's. So body camera footage played in a multi-day hearing, and it's revealing new details about Mangione and what he was doing on the day that he killed the corporate executive and all along those lines. So definitely lots going on. I'm getting ready to bring in Rick Rosner, see if Nick joins us as well. The House panel is advancing Indiana map drawn purely for political performance of GOP, is what some folks are reporting. And West Virginia again bans religious reasons for school vaccine exemption. So West Virginia restores exclusion of religious reasons for school vaccine exemptions. And Summers banned for life from prestigious economics group. So Larry Summers has received a lifetime ban from a prestigious economic association over his involvement with Epstein. So like I said, we're going to bring in Rick and all along those lines. So how are you doing, Rick? How's life treating you? Sorry that I wasn't able to join y'all as much yesterday because I had events going on, but I do have to teach you about a event, because I've been laughing at this story, and it's not really that deep of a news story, but apparently a raccoon in Florida got a little drunk and found the good liquor and everything like that, and then they found the raccoon passed out in the bathroom. So I was like, did the raccoon have a moment in his early days of college? Maybe it was in the previous life he was a college student.
We had fat garbage raccoons in Boulder where I grew up, and you did not want to come up on them. They went 60 pounds and they've got claws. They will, they look cute when they're washing their food and stuff, but when they're fat and mean, you stay away from them. We had a family of raccoons in our chimney. So anyway.
Yeah, and sometimes squirrels will get into stuff as well. Hey, Nick, what's your take on this? I think it was in Tampa, so one of your neck of the woods. So the raccoon found the liquor cabinet in like an ABC store, I think it was, or something like that, and got too happy.
I don't know what's worse, a drunk raccoon or a pink panther. I haven't figured that one out yet, Mark.
So I want to talk about this University of Oklahoma thing. They're running the playbook for TPUSA. Talking Point USA, which I think is the organization started by the late Charlie Kirk.
Well, that was Turning Point.
Oh, Turning Point. I don't know. I'm sorry. I meant Turning. I just woke up. I haven't even combed my hair. So
it's early in California.
Yeah. So anyway, Turning Point. She went to this girl, a very attractive young woman, I think a college freshman, 18, 19 years old. And she's getting set up to be one of these grievance culture warriors. So she got assigned in a psychology class or something to write a 650-word essay, citing sources, talking about reacting to a paper about gender.
Right.
And she didn't do the assignment. I read the essay, and you're supposed to have sources, and you're supposed to she didn't have any sources. She mentioned what the Bible says about stuff, and said that trans people are demonic. But she didn't quote the Bible. She just said the Bible says this. The Bible. She didn't cite any Bible verses. She didn't cite any biblical, experts on the Bible. She just anyway. She got 0 out of 25 points. She didn't do the assignment. But then she immediately, or I don't know immediately, but she goes to TPUSA. She goes to the governor of Oklahoma. Yeah, she wrote a crappy essay, but the essay was graded first by the professor of the class, and then regraded by the TA in the class, and they both agreed that she didn't do the assignment. And I read the professors and the comments, and they were very thoughtful, and they offered her an opportunity to redo the assignment and explained where she had fallen short. She didn't want to do any of this. She wants to make a stink, so she can become, a TPUSA grievance warrior, which makes you a lot of money. What's her face, who tied for 5th place with a trans swimmer, now has a career being a grievance warrior that makes her, she's on Fox News all the time, makes several $100,000 a year at least.
Yeah, that's because they pay their people and everything like that in terms of being guests, and we don't do that here at Pod TV. We don't pay our guests and everything, even though we might have the guests that'll be very interesting. They'll be coming on shortly because they'll be the founder of Bones, the TV show. It'll be the party and everything. But I do have a question for both you and Jacoby, since Jacoby is here and everything like that. Apparently, Trump is calling affordability a con job, as his edge on the economy is slipping. So he delivered a long list of claims at the cabinet meeting, but he said affordability is a con job by the Democrats. So apparently this whole notion of affordability and housing affordability and other affordability is a con job put on by
he ran on affordability. It didn't become a con job until he failed to make things more affordable.
Okay, I would ask your friend, Mr. Trump, and I know how much you, Mark, love him and Jacoby worships him. Why is it that 50% of our population only has 2.5% of the assets? Has he addressed that issue yet? If he hasn't addressed that issue, then I think our conversation is over, because that's the problem with that idiot gender studies thing. That's not what they should be studying in college, Rick. That's a waste of time.
Okay, she should not be studying it.
No, she should be filled out for principal of having to take the stupid class too.
I doubt she had to take the class. I think it has certain aspects of a setup that.
Yeah. Well, if you want to take classes like do that outside the college situation.
We'll get into the whole conversation about it. I want to come back to affordability real quick, because this is what he said.
Wait. I want to respond to Nick. I took a bunch of women's studies and gender studies classes in college, and that stuff has been extremely helpful to me when I went to work on the Man Show, which is the show that had women jumping on my gender studies back.
Okay, so
it was very it was super helpful. It helps to if you're gonna.
Okay, I'm not gonna deny it has some application, but wait, when you have a economy like you do in the United States that's so lopsided toward the 1%, and you're not addressing that issue, when you have an economy that's 38 trillion in debt, you're not addressing that issue. If you have an economy that healthcare is 17% of your GDP, and you're not addressing that issue, your gender studies should be way down on the list.
They did. Okay, so half the people.
That's the problem. Your priorities are all screwed up.
What percent of the students at Harvard do you think are doing STEM? Because STEM, math, science, education, is our ticket to the future.
I have no idea. You tell me.
50% of the kids at Harvard are STEM, which is appropriate. Now, you need some liberal arts. I live in.
But you do that on your own time. Do they have mandatory chess classes in college? Do you guys all have
gender studies are not mandatory?
It helps your brain, but it's not a college.
So there are electives. You take electives. This girl.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, I remember the electives.
Yeah, it's an elective and everything, and I think that's what you were taking.
The electives where I didn't really want to work that hard. I took the soft sciences. I call them the soft sciences when I was in college, because I was pretty stupid, and I was misguided by my lawyer friend who said, "Oh, you got to be a political science major to go to law school." What a waste of time. No one's hiring a political
telling me that, Nick, because that's what my nephew is going to do. He's going to poli-sci because he wants to be a lawyer in social.
Yeah, well, that's the wrong degree to get. I can tell. The weird best degree to get is an English degree, because the SATs test heavily on your English knowledge.
The SATs and the LSATs, that's very true. I want to come back to this quote, because this is just tickling me too much and everything like that. Come back to affordability. This is what Trump complained. He said there's this fake narrative that the Democrats talk about affordability. They just say the word. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. Yeah, the same. It came as Americans are still struggling with higher costs after inflation skyrocketed, and prices remain up in many areas amid new uncertainty over carriage. I watched the other day where some very low congresswoman talked about affordability, Trump wine. She had no idea their prices were much higher. So the president raged that affordability is a Democratic scam. But speaking of Democratic scam, I don't think Costco's is a Democratic society, and apparently they're suing because of the tariffs, because they're saying that.
I think Costco's case, without trying to be law, is not ripe for determination. If they file a motion to dismiss, it'll be granted.
So the reason you get Trump talking about this stuff, Trump gets on Air Force One and he flies down to Florida to play golf or, just to hang out at Mar-a-Lago. And while he's on the plane, he stands in the doorway of the plane in front of the press section of the plane, and he just talks. So that's where all these Trump quotes come from.
Yeah, I know, but the real problem is that people listen to this guy. Okay, let's go look at this guy's real background. I mean, let's forget he's the president of the United States. Okay, we're interviewing him for a job. You go, where'd you go to college at? I went to University of Pennsylvania. Oh, great, good school. How'd you graduate? I got a bachelor's, barely, magna cum barely. In other words, barely passed through. Great. Then what happened afterwards? I was CEO of a company. How'd you get that job? I inherited it. Really? Okay. And the thing is, the interview's over and he's not getting hired anywhere except in the United States as president, because he could BS through people. And he did so quite charmingly. And got to be the president.
Let's talk about what made him really in the eyes of the.
Oh, it was the TV.
So he gets The Apprentice. The casting people at The Apprentice, they start talking to captains of industry, and real captains of industry, like say Mark Cuban, turned him down, saying, "Well, this sounds like a huge time commitment."
Right.
And I've got. I'm more busy, I'm, doing, and so I can't.
He's running a real company.
Yeah. Trump runs a rinky dink company where it's him and like 3-4 other people in the office. And Trump is, he's not building much. He maybe built 3. I mean, getting a building built in New York is no small thing, but Trump owned 3. At one point, Trump owned 3 buildings in New York. But his name was on 17 buildings because there was a time when people, wanting to rent condos to idiots who thought the Trump name was classy would just pay him, I don't know, $100,000, $150,000.
Yeah, franchise fees, basically.
So anyway, he's a small businessman sitting on, decent amounts of money and with a no name because he's always going on Howard Stern and showing up in the media. So he's kind of like a fake executive, had plenty of time to do this show, and that was his ticket to being viewed as a business genius by, dumb Americans.
Yeah, but he was also a good showman. I mean, the thing is, what you're looking at is an entertainer who became president. I mean, that's basically it, with a marginal educational background and a very questionable executive background. I mean, that's so right. Like I said, that if you were to pick this guy off the street and throw his resume in a bin, he may not even be getting an interview at a decent company. But if you inherit the company, which is what he did, then he becomes a CEO. I got that. I mean, what can I tell you? And now you're listening to him. You're listening to him. People are listening to him. And his quotes, why would you bother? There's a lot of really smart people in the United States, highly educated people in the United States that you could listen to. I tell my students, go to ssrn.com, Social Science Research Network, and you're going to find some really educated and good articles on almost anything you want to find. You don't go to a guy who's got a bachelor's degree from UPenn magna cum barely and listen to what he has to say.
His marketing teacher at UPenn. Well, Trump calls it Wharton because.
But it wasn't Wharton, graduate school.
People say that when they went to Wharton, they mean grad school. They got an MBA. When Trump says it, it means that he went to Wharton as an undergrad, which is a division of UPenn. It's just the business division of UPenn, isn't it? So there's a little bit of bullshit there already. But his embellishment
is what he does.
His marketing professor, who's since died, at UPenn at Wharton, called him the dumbest dang student that he's ever had.
Oh, that might be true.
And what the brilliant business insights that Trump offered on The Apprentice, they were scripted. So,
Really? Okay. Well, he had good writers and he had a good director. I think the guy who produced it was Mark Burnett.
yes.
Is brilliant at producing television shows. Absolutely brilliant. If you see, because I think he also did Shark Tank. I mean, the guy knows how to.
No, he didn't do Shark Tank.
He didn't.
I don't. No, that's Phil
Well,
Gurr.
go check Mark Burnett out. But from what I recall, this guy's a brilliant producer. So here you got a brilliant producer, great director, good staff. He's good in front of a TV set. I mean, hate him or like him, Trump either learned or spent time learning how to work the
Oh,
media.
He did. He is the producer of Shark Tank.
Right. Yeah. Burnett. So you have one of the best producers in the world behind you, and
Right,
so he
also
can put
The
anybody in that position to be successful. It's just
Also, the Voice, the show with the chairs and the people, the
Right.
musicians.
the close-ups. If you look how that was produced, it was awesome. A lot of the stuff I see in the media, I try to read through the actors because actors are like pawns in a chess game, and it's the people behind the scenes that are making it. A lot of it, I hate to say it, Rick, it's the script writers like you. I'm telling you, you can't beat good script writers. I mean, any moron actor can learn to say a line good, but if they don't have the good line to say, then it doesn't matter how good they are. It's the script writing that's good, and the script writers get like no love at all. They're stuck in the. They remind me of my actuaries. They're stuck in the back room. Yet they're the brilliant people.
Well, they used to be called schmucks with Underwoods, which was an Underwood was a brand of typewriter. Yeah, and that was a joke in Hollywood that somebody wanted to get ahead and they slept with the writer. No, it does you no good. But he also produced Survivor. And let's see. Yeah, all right. So, and a bunch of garbage. That's what happens. You produce, 20 shows and 3 of them, if you're lucky.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Well, I mean, really, what they need in the White House is another Mark Burnett. He should be the one producing all his lines and stuff. And he needs good scriptwriters. The problem with Trump is he doesn't listen to anybody except himself, and he thinks he knows everything.
Well, yesterday was a crazy day because he had a cabinet meeting that he's nodded off in the cabinet meeting numerous times. And this used to happen in my TV career. I'd go to meetings and I would fall asleep, and often it was because I'd stayed up late jerking off, which is, that's not great. But Trump fell asleep yesterday because he went on a 5 in the middle of starting at 7 p.m. and all the way to midnight. He was on a tweet spree, sending out 1 tweet every 2 minutes. So he got no sleep. So he slept yesterday. Like Mark, he's sitting in the cabinet meeting. People are praising him as the greatest president in history, and he's slumped in his chair asleep.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the guy's pushing 80. He's going to be like 79, right? He's going to be 80 next year.
79 and a half, yes.
Okay, so he's going to be 80. He's getting old. The job is very demanding, and so watch the next couple of years. It's going to be really bad. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. Because
speaking of really bad, are y'all ready for this? Apparently, Google is experimentally replacing news headlines with AI clickbait nonsense. So they actually are saying that it is total nonsense like that. So did you know that BG3 players exploit children? Are you aware that Key 2 slows older pixels? If we wrote this misleading headlines, readers would rip a new one, is what The Verge said. But Google is experimentally beginning to replace the original headlines and stories it serves with AI nonsense. So are you ready for there's no telling what you might be reading and whether it's AI or not, or whether it's true or not, because apparently Google's getting ready to have a lot of fun with folks.
Oh, yeah. Clickbait is like the big thing on social media. After a while, you find out who's the ones that are doing it all the time. I just bypass them. Because the next thing they want me to go to this thing called Telegram or something like that.
Yeah.
What the heck is that? All of a sudden.
Rick, isn't that the one that's based out of Russia? Because I think Telegram, if I remember correctly, is based out of Russia, but it's kind of like a WhatsApp.
That sounds right. I don't know. It makes me sad because I get hit with clickbait headlines that tell me that they think I'm old and stupid, And I hate the old part where they say they'll bring up, look at this star of, but what this star of Bewitched looks like now. And it's like, oh no, you figured out that I'm in my 60s and that I know what the show Bewitched is.
Right.
And,
yeah. Yeah. And they always do that. And then they had one person, they had a picture of Max Baer who was on Beverly Hillbillies and the oldest living actor. And then you have to go to some weirdo site to listen to read it. And then you find out it wasn't this guy, it was somebody else. And so the media, they do that today all the time.
Hold on a second. Speaking of media, I got to come back to one of our other favorite stories and everything like that. How are you going to have a strike aimed at a boat? This is not the age of the neutron bomb, but it's not going to be aimed at the crew, because apparently Trump officials are saying the second strike was aimed to destroy the drug boat instead of the crew. Isn't the crew on the boat?
That's just a bit of a problem. That's what they call a minor inconvenience, Mark. So don't worry about it. The boat will sink and the people will go down with it when they hit it. They were developing this thing called like a neutron bomb.
The neutron bomb, right?
Weird thing that destroys the infrastructure, or destroys the people and leaves the infrastructure around. You know, I don't know what his plan. I don't even know if they have a plan for Venezuela, because it looks like the plan in Washington, D.C. is shoot from the hip. That's the plan, which means there is no plan. You know, and I haven't seen anything that was remotely represents intelligent life in Washington, D.C. at this moment. So, you know, I just go, I live in Spain, so I go, okay, you guys are dumb, you know.
We talked about it. So Trump is friends with oil execs. Venezuela has oil reserves of nearly a trillion, 1/3 of a trillion gallons, they think, more than any other country in the world.
We should really take it over. I mean, I wouldn't have problems if Trump would just come clean and be honest. We want your oil. We're going to send our military in, and we're going to take you over. Just be honest. You know, you got a lot of oil reserves. We've never gone on to clean energy. We never will, because we're America. Your country is upside down. People are starving, and they're running over here because you're communist morons. So what we're going to do is send our military in, take you over, and take over the oil that you expropriated from our companies. Just be honest with them. That's what we want. We don't care about anything else. You let us take your oil. We don't care about anything else. Now, see, that would be an honest Donald. So, Donald, you need to get real. In the U.S., you need to get real. And then what we should do is we should do it. Just take over the bloody oil. Come on, that's what great countries do. They just take over the weaker ones, kick them out, grab their assets, and keep going. You know, so we should put that on as a platform for this next election.
Well, we used to do that. We used to do that in the.
I know. That's how you make America great again. You make it because
particularly to South America, it was that I think it was the Monroe Doctrine, right? That's
to keep Europeans from interfering. But the thing is, we had a policy like, remember Panama Canal? We just took it and built it because the thing is they were being jerks down there. Well, in Venezuela, we know that the economy's upside down. There's a lot of people leaving Venezuela coming here to Spain because they're broke, they're poor, they got a bunch of stupid communists over there. Franco did it here in Spain. So what you do is you go there with your army, your huge army, not a small army, send a huge army over to Venezuela. Get rid of this Maduro, whatever his guy's name is, like we did in Libya. Just get rid of him. And we did in Iraq also, but I don't think we got enough oil out. Get rid of these people, take their bloody oil, and life is good again. America will be great for quite some time.
You mentioned if Trump just told the truth. So
yeah, just tell the truth.
There's a thing he could offer. So under Maduro, the people of Venezuela are not really sharing in the oil revenue, or if it is, it's being done. If you live in Alaska, the people of Alaska,
they get oil royalty in Alaska.
They get everybody in Alaska, because they allowed the oil pipeline to cut through Alaska. Everybody in Alaska gets like $2,000 a year just for living there from oil revenue. If you're right, if Trump went in and said, "Look,
remember they expropriated corporate oil years ago when the commies got in there, okay, And that's well, cool, and good. And then apparently this guy Bodero, whatever he did, they rigged election, so he won again, and that's well and corrupt also. But we're the 800-pound gorilla in this tank. So we send our military in force, just like the Spanish had their Armada. In other words, you don't send one little Gerald Ford II aircraft carrier. You send like tons of them out there with planes, weapons, everything, and just go to Caracas, take it over, throw this butt head out, and then go take over the oil fields. Because
I thought Trump claims to be the president of peace, claims that he deserves the Nobel.
Yeah, well, there'll be a lot of peace or pieces. There'll be pieces of Venezuelans in the water, or there'll be a lot of prosperity because we're going to make Venezuela pump a lot of oils, and we're going to get our commissions out of it. We could even sell it to the Indian community. India needs oil. They don't have any bloody oil. We could sell it to India and say, India, this is how you'd stop the Ukrainian war. Buy oil from our Venezuelan subsidiary, and they don't need to buy oil from Russia anymore and tell them to end the war. See, the United States doesn't understand. Might makes right, buddy. And we have the might, so make it right.
Well, speaking of might, we've also got our gentleman from Bangladesh joining us as well.
There's Dr. Sharif. We have no reason to invade Bangladesh. Those people are nice people. They got a lot of people over there. They don't have much oil, so we're going to leave them alone. But Venezuela, I would have no problem taking over that country right now. Just sending.
Here's a story that just popped up on Drudge. The wealth of the top 1% in America has now reached $52 trillion. The top 10% of Americans added $5 trillion to their wealth in the past 3 months, in the second quarter, from April through June of this year.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying, Rick. In other words, if you're in the 1%, you have all the bananas. If you take the top 10% of Americans, they have almost 70% of all the assets. So then you're looking at the bottom 50%. They only have 2%. They're all broke. We have a definite misallocation of assets and wealth in the United States. It makes it really hard to work here. Or even open up a business.
All right, one last thing about that. In the 1880s, the last time that we had this kind of wealth disparity, the average lifespan was, in the early 60s. So you could be a millionaire, you could be rich as hell, but you were going to die pretty quickly, and then your assets would be dispersed to your heirs. And that's not happening anymore. Now you've got the Rupert Murdochs of the world and the tech bros. Rupert Murdoch is like 95, and he's still out there banging hotties. Now they're 70 years old. They're only, but he's still, and the tech bros, they're going to live to 110, 115. And
the capital is trapped in older generations waiting to croak.
Yeah, but we're not going to croak. A lot of as AI makes medicine better and better for rich people are going to just be able to keep going.
Yeah, and so what happens is the blood doesn't circulate. You have to realize money is blood, and blood is not circulating because it's all trapped in this 1% that keeps on getting older and richer, and the rest of the world, the rest of the United States, 50%.
Yeah, and when you lived in America, you lived in West Palm Beach, Florida, right?
I lived in Boca Raton, which is
a gated community, right? You had to get in there to where you lived. There was a guard shack, right? And there was a big fence. So that's what's going to. The rich olds are going to live in compounds, gated communities. So that the poors can't get in there.
Yeah, well, in Boca, if you ever go there, 80% are HOAs, homeowner associations, with what you call gated communities, and I kind of lived in gated communities for a long time.
And the Jeff Epstein sex deal was in part a rich people. So there were two communities. There was the rich gated part where Epstein lived. And then there were all the poors and trailer parks on the outskirts of the gated area, and the poors could be exploited by Epstein, who said, "Yeah, come here and we'll get you, and we'll get connections. You'll get to come behind the fence. You'll live in luxury. And there. All right.
Yeah, that's the case. So, Dr. Sharif, what's going on in your world?
Oh, my world, it's productive. There are a lot of good things happening in my place. As you know, World Talent Economy Forum, we are heavily work with not all of the rich people, with all of
Hello.
the grassroots level people. And recently, we are working with like around 800 grassroots level communities, those who have economical challenge, those who have financial challenge. So we are helping them to develop them as an entrepreneurs for the grassroots levels. Also, we are working for the housing company. The housing company actually targeting not all of the rich people, the housing company targeting all of the middle class people. So we are helping these middle class people to develop them as an entrepreneur for Bangladesh, for South Asia. So but we have different culture, we have different ideology, we have different perspective, and hopefully with this different perspective we can make some difference. So that is the way our World Talent Economy Forum doing. On the other hand, in terms of politics, that the youth communities, they are heavily engaging with the politics, engaging with the startup ecosystem. I'm observing many good things is happening, not only in Bangladesh, definitely in South Asia. Uh, but there are a lot of challenges, specifically economical challenge, social challenge, cultural challenge. Hopefully, the youth community can overcome from this situation. So that is the view from my side. Thank you for this opportunity.
Oh yeah, definitely. A lot's going on. What's happening in your world, Jacoby? You've been quiet over there and hearing uh Nick rant and rave about his different things going on and everything, which is unusual for you because usually you're taking him on and all along those lines. So how are you doing today?
Well, I was. I think my mic was messed up for a little bit, and I was trying to jump in, but then because Nick rambled on a lot of a lot of craziness, and then we tried to justify. We got to a point in the conversation where trying to justify war crimes, which is what's taking place. Because even if you say that, oh, it's debatable, attacking the ships, you don't know what's on the ships. You don't know who the people are. You gave them no due process. So even if you want to argue or say that that's debatable, you cannot attack people in the middle of a shipwreck. Doesn't matter what it is. They're in a shipwreck.
It's not what America should be doing. It's something that what the Germans did in World War II. They'd sink a ship and then they'd machine gun the survivors.
And that's it. Yeah, it's a shipwreck. You can't attack survivors that way. You can't. It's against the law. And so we're trying to justify war crimes, trying to justify regime change by, oh well, we did this. It's regime change. It doesn't matter what it is. We all agree Maduro's a bad person. We can say that till we're blue in the face. But what Trump is doing is regime change because he's trying to grab the oil that's there. So
it's also against the law. There were laws passed that prohibit the U.S. from, because after people found out in the 70s that the CIA was doing all sorts of was doing this regime, killing like Iran. We deposed the Iran had in the 50s a socialist leader who was, appropriating the oil. And so we deposed him using skullduggery, replaced him with the Shah. And then when all this came out, Congress passed laws saying the U.S. cannot get in there and meddle with other people.
But are we already meddling with other people? Because the other thing that we can get to, and I definitely want to hear about Sasha's thoughts around Ukraine. But hold on one second.
What you're going to say real quick, what you're going to go down the path of is, yes, we have done that before. It's already happened. So we all know that. But
I was going to mention something more modern and everything like that, because the other news story that we didn't get to that I wanted to hear people's thoughts about is, and come to something you talk about quite a bit, which is how he's attacking black and brown folks, because now he's putting Somalians on the hit list and everything like that. So that's where I was going is what's up with this whole idea of targeting the Somalians in
Most of
Minnesota?
the Somalians are legal residents and citizens. But the trouble with Somalians is they're skinny. They look like the pirates who are taking over ships and Captain Phillips and Trump, who's a fucking bully. It's the Nazi playbook. The one reason the Nazis went after the Jews is because the Jews were a minority. There weren't that many of them. It's same deal with Somalis. They're not politically powerful. They look like they to racist Americans. They look scary, and it is all bullshit.
The reason they look scary to racist Americans is because they're black and brown. That's it. That's the whole point behind it. And so his attacks on the people of Somalia being in the U.S. is just another attack. The same attack that he's done against people from Afghanistan. Same attack he's done against people from Latin America. Same attacks he's done against black and brown people that are already living here. So it's the same repetitive thing. But again, to get back to just to point out the attacks on Venezuela, in the conversation that kept going on, it got to a point of, again, trying to justify an actual open war against a sovereign nation based on regime change. And it's just ridiculous. So, but you know, what's crazy, what's the crazy part? Do you know what the number 15 is? Anybody know what number 15 is?
No.
Anybody at all? Raise your hand if you know what 15. We're 15 days since they were supposed to release the Epstein files. 15
Oh no,
days.
I thought they have 30 days to do it.
I know.
They have to do it by
They have 30 days, but what's outside of the news? It's the same thing with the peace deals. These quote unquote peace deals that he's done. Do you realize that 500 people have died since the peace deal in?
Yeah, you mean in Gaza, right? You know,
Yeah.
Israel keeps like blowing
Yeah,
up some people.
But but that's outside of the news now because we've quote unquote got a peace deal. It's the same thing with the Epstein files. Nobody's asking about the Epstein files now because
No,
we said we're going to release them.
There's already been one Epstein victim, but it's a minor victim because Larry Summers is apparently banned from organizations because of what he did with Epstein and everything along those lines. Hey, Sasha, I did have a quick question for you. What's going on? I know because I was not able to hear much of y'all show yesterday because of things that I had going on in my life and everything. But what's going on with Turkey and Russia and Ukraine? And are we going to see any peace? Because I did see that Turkey is now being involved as well. But you've been following this much more closely than I have. So is there any sign of a peace deal or what's going on in this whole Russia-Ukraine war?
So far, I see more escalation than any peace at all, because the Turkey is absolutely very, very angry about this bombing of these ships in Black Sea, and Turkey feels that it's responsible for the Black Sea, and it has to somehow deal with this situation. And the Russian-Ukrainian war, Ukrainians are basically it's continuation of the same tactics. The territories are not so important today because, okay, you're giving up a town, then next day you're taking it back. Then the situation repeats a few days later and so on. However, when you kill 1,500 people a day or more, that's what counts, because when you will get this town back, these 1,500 people will not miraculously appear. No, they are gone forever. So the new Ukrainian tactics is to not to get involved in a face-to-face combat, where they are prevailing, but still there is one Ukrainian loss for 5 Russians, which is very beneficial for Ukraine, but Zelensky wants more. He wants 10 Russians killed and 0 Ukrainians. How you do it? Okay, you put a barbed wire, you put the fortifications of all kinds and so on, and all what you do, you don't try to have a combat, try to just hold them for 5, maybe 10 minutes until your drones will come and just mercilessly kill everybody who is involved in the attack on Ukrainian positions. That strategy was developed just last weekend on Saturday, I believe. It was pronounced, and it's already in action everywhere.
Ukraine is making 10,000 drones a day. They have hidden factories all over Ukraine.
Yeah.
And that's 4 million drones a year. So
now, Denmark announced that there will be a joint production of drones between Ukraine and Denmark on the Danish territory. Now, several European countries yesterday offered help to Ukraine anywhere from $100 million to $250 million. All countries like, say, Denmark and Sweden and France and Italy, and just diverse. And that coming in such a discord with those, all what US is doing. US wants to get in bed with Putin. That's all what they care. Oh, Ukraine, so you take this territory or you take that territory. To US, or Trump or rather say, it's irrelevant how much territory Russians will take from Ukraine. It doesn't matter. The peace, that's what matters. So they can do all their crooked deal for $2 trillion to explore this or that and grab half of this money to themselves. That's all what they care. It's not a deal about the peace in Ukraine. Nothing really comes even close.
If you want to fight in a war without getting killed, and you're good at video games, you can go to Ukraine and get trained as a drone operator. They have a 2-month drone training program. And because if they're going to be flying, 50,000 drones over Russians and blowing them up, they need the people who are good at the handset.
Yeah. And Ukrainians, they adopt very quickly to modern technology, and I think that they will have no shortage of people who would like to fill these positions.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Definitely, that sounds like that's what's going on in that particular situation. Dr. Sharif, you're on mute. Oh, he might be talking to somebody.
Yeah. Yes, Mark. Yeah.
What's going on with the youth there in Bangladesh? I know we've been hearing a lot about the bad weather in Asia. So how are you dealing with that weather, and also what's going on with the youth movement?
Two things I just want to share. Like, number one, what you discuss about this weather and all of the things. Yes, many countries like Bangkok and many other places, they have flood, and that's why I promote this climate initiative in Asia. Secondly, I'm very much optimistic about youth because my last program with this grassroots level community, like 800 families, they engage in these communities. I find that the young people, they are helping to these grassroots level communities. 3 days, they work as a team. They do not charge any single money or anything, but there are a lot of youth, they actually engaging with them and they are helping the community. So here is the good message. Still, I find from the youth as their culture, everything not for money. They work for humanity, they work for development, they work for prosperity of the human. So I have strong belief about the youth, at least in Asia, even though I find many North American, my colleagues, those who are working in my team, they are very optimistic, they are very positive, they want to contribute for North American cultures and community. But we need, one of the things we have challenges, I believe we do not have good leadership example. In politics, in corporation, everybody actually running behind money. So I believe that if we can create good leaders for Asia through my World Talent Economic Forum institutions, that can be a big change for the youth community. So I need all of your support, and cooperation for this youth development. So hopefully it will be very effective. Bangladesh is a Muslim country, so a religious place, example, mosque, is very effective in our country. So we have around 300,000 mosques in Bangladesh. So I am working with them. So hopefully it can be developed as a institutions. Honestly speaking, because of politics, political corruptions, corporate corruption, banking sector corruption, the youth community, they do not have enough trust for our previous generations. But if we can create a ethical standards and culture for them, they can change all of the cultural things, environmental things, and everything. So we need to work together.
Well, that makes sense. Definitely got to work together and all on those lines. I was getting ready because we're wrapping up and everything. Jacoby, I did notice something that was different in the world of sports because I follow sports as well and everything like that. And it looks like for the first time, and it actually involves Durham, we've got two NBA stars from the same university, which is Knipple and Cooper Flagg, and both are Duke folks. So I just wondered if you had any thoughts around that, because it's the first time that's ever happened where there's been two players from the same university that are the heads of the all-star rookies and everything like that, but on different conferences.
I mean, Cooper Flagg is struggling in Dallas because Dallas is a bad team right now. They're not fully healthy, but Cooper Flagg is trying to do his best. And Con Knipple, Charlotte has every year historically been a bad team. It'd be nice if they had a few more pieces to add around Con Knipple, because I think Knipple can be a decent player. I don't think he's going to be a full-blown all-star, but I think he's going to be a decent player as he continues to grow into that position.
Yeah, no doubt about that and everything like that. Yeah, what were you going to say, Rick?
I wanted to ask Tovey, is LeBron James, I like LeBron James because he's old, I'm old. So I root for, is he done? He's only been back for 5 games because he had sciatica. Is he going to get into a groove and have one more good season?
I mean, the Lakers, truthfully, with Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic, because Luka is an all-star. Austin Reeves is actually blossomed due to his past couple of years. But I think LeBron is finally passing the torch, and he's passing it to Luka. And he wanted to pass it to Anthony Davis, but Anthony Davis is too injury prone. But I think what will happen is LeBron, because his son is there now, his son is not a good NBA player. His son is only there because LeBron's there. And so LeBron will stick it out through the year. He'll have a decent season. I'm still not picking. I think the Lakers may make the playoffs. They're still going to be on the bottom half of the bracket. Right now, they're leading that division, but they're still going to be on the bottom half of the bracket because you still don't have a big man to hold down the middle. And you don't have – right now, OKC is running away with everything. They're sitting there at 21-1, I think they are now. And SGA is just becoming a better player. I don't see the Lakers being better than OKC. I don't see him being better than Denver. I think Houston's going to get on a roll because Houston has KD, and KD can pull you out of some because he's a deep threat. He opens up the middle. LeBron doesn't do that. He can't do that anymore. And so you have to rely heavily on Austin Reeves. And
well, all right. So LeBron skipped college. He went straight from high school to the NBA. When his NBA days are done, shouldn't he go to college and play on a college team?
No, he's too old.
Those guys would run loops around him and everything like that.
But if he joined a junior college team, and
Rick, we tried that with Mark. We tried that with Marquette because Guinness was actually offered, or was the whole joke routine going around about him playing for the Marquette team because we don't really have that great of a big man. Ben Gold is all right and everything, but we talked about that and it was not going to happen. He even offered to come play for Marquette, but it was done like in a Twitter kind of like.
But LeBron is also, LeBron's a billionaire, almost.
Oh yeah,
right. So, and he's also a TV producer. So if he could make a reality show where he goes to college, it could be a junior college, joins the team, moves the whole team into his mansion, and they just, people
Could be a whole
like
new
that.
so we'll have to finish
Interestingly
and everything.
both he and Steph Curry are TV producers.
Yeah.
However, LeBron has done it the right way. Steph Curry hasn't. Curry's a great shooter. Curry's one of the greatest players of all time. But dear Lord, his TV production stuff, I don't know.
I watched a few
What
episodes of the
what
show.
shows
He
has he
stars
done?
in the show where one of his ne'er-do-well friends from high school becomes part of his entourage, and I thought it was a decent show.
So the shows that he's produced right now, Mark, Good Times, the cartoon that came back out,
Yeah.
that became a minstrel show.
Yeah,
That was
it.
Curry.
Okay.
Also, the movie that he has being produced right now, The GOAT, which is about a goat playing basketball and being able to shoot threes, and he's smaller than everybody. Yeah, that's Steph Curry.
Like, yeah, those don't sound like good movies, and then we get to wrap up and everything, but they don't sound good. Just really quickly, and you can answer this quickly. Is Doc done and everything? Because I was just reading earlier before we got online that folks are thinking that he might be gone, even though the Stars Milwaukee stayed in Milwaukee because of Doc Rivers. But is Doc going to be able to make it through this year? And I did see that Golden State also has the Curry brother now on the team.
Oh yeah, Seth Curry is now playing with Steph Curry. Seth Curry was interesting. They were in college before Seth got into college. They had said Seth was going to be better than Steph because Seth had the ability to drive and he could also kind of shoot like his brother. But no, Seth never really panned out as well as his brother. But Doc should have never been in Milwaukee.
I agree.
Never. But Giannis wanted him, so Giannis got him. I love Giannis to death. He's one of my favorite players, but that's what killed.
Well, you can talk about this, that NBA coaching is a different thing because you can't yell at a bunch of guys who are making $15, $20, $50 million a year. You have to be a cool guy. You have to be their coach friend. And Phil Jackson was good at that. And I think Doc Rivers seems like a great guy and like somebody you'd want to be led by because he's not but I don't know that he doesn't win that many games always.
Well, the time Doc was a great manager of personalities, and he was a good coach, and that's why in Boston he won that championship. Right. He should have won 2, but he didn't. But the problem with Doc is that the game has passed him by, and he's living on just that 1 year he had with KG, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. He's still living on that year. Doc needs to go ahead and put him. He should have never been in Milwaukee. Milwaukee would have won a championship had they kept the coach that they had, where they were outscoring people, and their defense would have come along. But now they can't score. Giannis is struggling because he's the only person there, and they haven't surrounded him with anything. And Doc doesn't do that. Doc doesn't know. I won't say Doc doesn't know, but Doc hasn't evolved with the way the game is played right now.
I would agree with you on that. And on that note, we're going to get on out of here. I know we've got investment show at 1 o'clock. Definitely we'll have a lot of conversation around what's going on with NVIDIA. Who knows? Maybe we'll even talk about Costco. Because I know Costco's was upset about the tariffs, and we talked about that earlier on the news and everything like that. So we'll see how their stock is impacted by their suit, because they're suing the federal government. But maybe Sasha will talk about that, or others will talk about that. But right now, let's get on out of here.
Bye-bye.